Okay, so just as in reproduction, as in everything else, poultry is the exception to every rule. So they're kind of funky. They got their own thing going on. And the main difference here is that mammals, in mammals, like most of your livestock animals, like your cattle, your swine, your sheep, your goats, all of them, the embryo develops inside the female's body. So the embryo develops externally, or internally, I'm sorry. Whereas in the poultry, the embryo develops externally, or outside the body, in the egg. The papilla is the male organ in poultry's cloaca that puts the sperm in the hen's reproductive tract. Also in poultry, the testes are internal as opposed to in most other livestock species, or in all of the livestock species, the testes are external. So, domestic birds only have one ovary. The left ovary and the left oviduct are the only ones that are functional at maturity. Right? So the left ovary is the only one that produces eggs. The right one is there, but it doesn't function. As far as the egg goes, the main function is reproduction. We eat it obviously as food, not only by humans, but also wild animals will eat them as food. But the main function is reproduction. So domestic chickens will actually lay an egg every 24 to 28 hours, so approximately one egg per day, regardless of whether or not sperm is present. Commercially sold eggs, which are just basically the eggs that you find in the grocery store, are not fertilized. So you're not eating a baby chicken, you're just eating an ovum. That's all you're eating. Incubation time for chicken eggs is about 21 days. Turkey and duck eggs is 28 days. So if sperm is present and your chicken goes broody, it will take about 3 weeks for your eggs to hatch. Whereas for turkeys and ducks, it'll take about 4 weeks. All right, so the poultry reproductive system. This is your poultry reproductive tract. Looks a little different than the livestock female, correct? So the ovary, again, they only have one, and it produces ova and hormones just like in the female livestock or female mammal. The yolk of the egg is the actual ovum. So if you've seen a chicken egg, which I hope you have at this point, the yellow yolk is the actual ovum of a poultry egg. Really, the ovary in a chicken is very recognizable because it has this cluster of all these yellow round egg yolks on it. And that ovum is significantly bigger than the ovum in mammals. Again, poultry only have one functioning ovary as opposed to livestock animals where they have two functioning ovaries. Poultry only have that left one that is functional. So the infundibulum. So the infundibulum is still a funnel-shaped structure that's located just below the ovary. So again, that yolk kind of floats in space for a short period of time before it's caught by the infundibulum. It's the start of the oviduct, just as it is in livestock. But here's where another big difference comes in. Fertilization actually takes place in the infundibulum. Okay, whereas fertilization takes place in the uterus in other livestock animals, fertilization actually takes place in that funnel-shaped end of the oviduct in poultry. So the oviduct. The oviduct consists of 5 different parts in poultry. So it's not just a tiny little tube like it is in livestock animals. It consists of 5 specific parts. Now the first part is the infundibulum. We just talked about that. So these are the other 4 parts: the magnum, the isthmus, the uterus, and the vagina. So the magnum secretes the thick egg white, or the albumin. So if you hard boil an egg, that yellow part in the middle, that's the yolk, that is the ovum. Then the white around it is actually secreted in the magnum. The isthmus is where the 2 shell membranes are added on. So if you've ever tried to peel a hard-boiled egg and you had a hard time and the shell was coming off, but then you had this like film on the inside, you had to get that off too to get the actual egg. That film is the shell membrane, okay, and that's added by the isthmus. The uterus secretes the thin white shell and the shell pigment, and then the vagina just kind of holds on to the egg until it's laid. All right, so you've got the ovum that's produced in the ovary, which is the yolk. The magnum then puts the egg white on it. The isthmus adds the two shell membranes, and then the uterus puts the shell on. And then the vagina just holds onto it until it's laid. This is kind of a picture kind of showing where it is, and kind of showing it as the egg travels down the reproductive tract. So the cloaca. This is where the papilla of the male bird actually deposits semen, and then the semen travels all the way up that oviduct to the infundibulum, which is where fertilization takes place. The egg is also going to pass through the cloaca, and it's also where the digestive system ties into the reproductive tract as well. It is located between the vent and the base of the oviduct. And then the vent is the external opening to the poultry reproductive tract. This is also where everything is expelled. So your eggs, your liquid and solid waste. So your urinary tract, your digestive tract, and your reproductive tract all come together in the vent, and that's where everything is expelled out of. We'll talk about parturition in the very last reproductive tract video.